Hello class, welcome to Code to Data Academy, and in today's lecture we will talk about Python lists. Now let me create a markdown cell and type in lists, maybe in capital letters, lists, okay. So let's start. First of all, let's try to understand what a list is. I will create a variable called list1, which is equal to square brackets. This is what we use to create any list. Then we add some numbers, for example, 1, 2, 3, or a string, for example, Python, or for example, Java, or an integer, for example, 3.4, 5.78, for example. This is a list. So I created it as a variable name. So I said list1 equals to this, and I've written it down within square brackets, which indicates it is a list. And then let's print list1. And as you can see, the list1 is 1, 2, 3, Python, Java 3.4. The reason why I included these values is I wanted to show you that we can insert integers, strings, and floats at the same time into a list. Now let's talk about type function. As you know, in our previous lectures, I showed you that we use type to see a data type of an object. And now here we can also use it to see the type of list objects. Let's say list1, and of course it's a list. And here we have to understand something. You can never ever create variables called lists, float, or int. You cannot do it. Okay, let me show you. For example, you cannot create a variable called float because float is something that is already recognized, already built in Python language. So float is something that belongs to Python. It shouldn't be the variable that you created. Or for example, list. As you can see, list is a data type. It's something that belongs to Python. So you cannot create a variable called list. It will be an error in the long run. That's why please try to write list1, list2, I don't know, whatever you want except list or except int. Okay, remember this. If a name is already within Python language, is already recognized in Python, then you cannot set it as a name to a variable. So that's why I usually write list1, list2, but not list itself. Okay, please remember this. And now we understood that type list1 is a list. Okay, because I've written it down within these square brackets. Now I want to talk about empty lists. Can we create empty lists? Of course we can. Just for example, write list2. It doesn't matter, you can also write list1, it will be updated. List2, let's say, equals empty square brackets, and then print list2. The result will be like this, empty square brackets, because it's an empty list, okay? So if you insert something inside it, then it will be automatically added. Or another method to create an empty list is using the list function. For example, list2 equals list. That's it. Print list2. It's also an empty list. So we use this function to create empty lists as well. And now let's talk about another usage of this function. Let's create list3 equals list. And then I will say something like, for example, again, Python. Okay, let's print list3. The result is Python, separately, the elements. So this method is called converting string into a list. With this function, with this list function, we can convert a string, which is Python, into a list. But this list consists of every single element of Python, of that string, okay? So this is the case. For example, if I write Java, it will be like this, Java, that's it. But I can write something different from string. So we can say generally whatever is iterable in Python, you can insert that object into this list function because it needs to go through this object and take every single element of it. For example, strings are iterable. You can take every single element of strings separately so that you can send a string into this list function, Or for example, lists themselves are also iterable because you can go through the list and take every single element separately. So you can insert a list into this list function as well. For example, 1, 2, 3, and it will be a list that consists of the elements of this list. But you cannot write for, because it cannot go through for and separate it into elements and put it in a list and return. It's not possible, because for itself is not iterable. It is just one. It consists of one element. Also 42 itself is not iterable. It's just one element. It does not have anything else. But if I write it like this, 42, it will be okay. If I write like 4, again, it will be okay, because it's a string. So strings, lists, tuples that we will learn about in our upcoming lectures, or dictionaries, all are iterable objects, which means we can go through these objects and take every single element of it. But floats, integers are not iterable. I cannot take 4 and 2 of 42 separately, but I can take 4 and 2 of string 42 separately and put it into list. I hope I could explain this part. So list function is used with iterable objects, okay? And if no argument is given, the constructor creates a new empty list. This is what I show you at first. Okay, so for now you can remember that this function is used to convert a string into a list. For example, C++, like this. I hope I could explain it. So we use this to create an empty list, or convert iterable objects into lists. That's it. Now I would like to remind you something. I will create a variable called a and set the value Python to it, which is a string. And then let's take the third element, the second index of the string, which is t. Okay, 0, 1, 2. Or we can write like this. Start from the very first element to go up to, but do not include the second index. So y, p and y, that's it. So we can do the same thing. We can apply the same structure to lists as well. Let's create another list called list3, for example, and write 1, 2, C, I don't know, a random word car, and 3.4. And then let's work on this list. I can say go up to, but do not include the second index. The second index is C, so it will return a list that consists of 1 and 2. If I write 3, it means go to, but do not include the third index, which is car. It will return a list that consists of 1, 2, and C. Or I can write 1 and 3, which means start from the first index, go up to, but do not include the third index. So it will return a list consisting of 2 and C. That's it, okay? Or we can write like this, which indicates the reversed version. 3.4, car, C, 2, and 1. I talked about these in strings, that's why I don't want to linger on these that much. Or like this, or you can say just jump over 2, for example, 2 elements, then take 1, then C, then 3.4, like this. Okay, and again, I would like to show you one more thing by comparing strings and lists. Let's write b, let's create a variable called b and set it, and let's write Java equals b, and then I can write a plus b, right? Let's see the result. It's Python Java because it's concatenation. I've talked about this, right? It's not adding, it's concatenation. So just takes the Java and concatenates it to the end of Python. That's it. And when it comes to a list, we can do the same thing. Let's create a list 1 equals 1, 2, 3, and list 2 equals I don't know, let's say car, book, I don't know. And let's concatenate these two lists. List 1 plus list 2, and see the result. 1, 2, 3, car, book. As you can see, even though the lengths of these two lists are not equal, it has 3 elements, but it has 2 elements. But still, we can concatenate it because concatenation has nothing to do with the lengths. Even Python and Java are not of the same length, so we can do it. Car and book. Take these 2 elements and concatenate to the previous thing. 1, 2, 3. That's it. Okay. And let's see whether it differs if I write like this. Yes, It takes car and book first and then concatenates 1, 2, 3 to the list. That's it. So it's not an error. It's not adding. It's concatenation. Okay. And now let's talk about len function. As you know, B is Java. If I write len B, it will be 4. Then list 5 equals 1, 2, 3. If I write len list 5, it will be 3 because it has 3 elements. So the function length, the function len returns the number of elements of a list as well. Okay, that's it. And now let's talk about mutability. As you know, strings are immutable, which means if I write a equals car, I cannot say a0 equals let's say v. It's an error because string object does not support item assignment. You cannot replace any element of a string with something else. It's prohibited, okay? It's not allowed. But when it comes to lists, we can do it. Let's create list, I don't know, 1 again, I don't know. And let's write 2, 3, 4.5, and let's write list 1, 0 equals car, and print list 1 again. Let's see the result. As you can see, the first element in the index 0, which is 2, is now replaced by this string, which is car. That's it. The result is like this. Okay? Oh, you can write, I don't know, 2.5. The result will be like this. So it's possible. So lists are not immutable. We can change. You can replace any element of a list with something else, but you cannot do it with strings, as you may remember. And for example, you can write a plus a plus a. It will be car, or to replace it or to shorten it, you can write a times 3. It again will be car. You can do the same for lists as well. For example, list 1. Let's write list 1, and you can write like this: list 1 times 3. It will be again the concatenation, but let's say it equals list 1 plus list 1 plus list 1. The same thing, okay? So it's again concatenation, that's it. And but if I write something like this, what will be the result? What do you think? List 1, the same list, because I have not assigned this value to the previous list. I have not I've not updated the list. I've just wanted to show the result on the screen. That's it. I have not changed it yet. But for changing it, we can simply write list 1 star equals 3. And now let's see the list 1. Now it's different. I think you remember this notation, right? We have done it with strings as well. For example, I equals 3, then I plus equals 1, then I is now 4. I think you remember this notation. Or I star 1, now I again equals 3. I hope you remember this notation. It means that you can, like with this notation, at the same time, you multiply this variable by 1 and replace the value of variable with the new one. Okay, that's it. And we can do the same thing with lists as well. You kind of multiply the list by 3, and at the same time, with this notation, you replace the value of list 1 with the new one. The new one is this, multiplication. The previous one is this, and by using this notation, you get this. As you can see, now list 1 is no longer like this. It's like this, okay? That's it, very simple. What if I want to replace or change more than one element of a list at the same time? For example, I have a list 1, like this, right? List 1 is this. What if I want to change 2.5? We learned it. List 1, index 0 equals, for example, 3. And now list 1 is like this. Okay, it's very simple. But what if I want to change 2.5 and 3 at the same time? I already changed 2.5, now it's like this. Okay, this is the last version of list 1. What if I want to change 3 and 4.5 at the same time? I want to replace them with 1, for example, but I want to do it at the same time. So what is the shortest way? For doing this, simply use this notation, list 1. You know, okay, I wanted to change the first 3 elements of this list, and I know there exists such a notation. And now I want to replace this with something else. I wanted to replace all those 3 values by something else. For doing it, just simply assign another list to this value. For example, 1, 1, 1. And now list 1 is like this, okay? Now 3, 1, and 2.5 is replaced by 1, 1, 1. But there's no restriction that the length of the list that you want to replace the original one by must be of the same length. There's not such a restriction. So if you write, for example, 1 and 1, the result will be like this. There's no error, because it means just go and take the first 3 elements and replace them by this. The reason why it is not an error is that this part equals to a list like this. It's a list. It's not 3, 1, and 2.5 separately. It's a whole list. And you can, of course, replace the whole list by another list. The length doesn't matter. That's it. So I hope you understood it. Let's try another thing. List 1, for example, start from the 3rd index, go up to, but do not include the 6th. Do we have the 6th index? Yes, then so 4.5, 2.5, 3. So you can do it, right? And maybe I want to replace this whole list by something else. For example, just this word. Maybe I want to do it. Let's see the result. It's 1, 1, 3, car. Car has replaced these 3 elements. And then this 4.5 here. That's it. I hope you could understand it. And now let's talk about some operations. We have two things that we can apply to lists. One is append and one is pop. So if you write list 1 and period, then you will see these options. Append, clear, copy, count. We have lots of ones. And now I would like to specifically talk about pop and append. Just simply press tab and you will get the first one. Or if you want to get the, for example, second one, go down and tab. That's it. Maybe the pop one, go down, 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 and tab. That's it, okay? And now I would like to talk about append. If you write list1.append, you have to insert a value into it. For example, 2. And then if you print list 1, you will see that 2 has been added to the very end of the list, okay? So the right-hand side. For example, if I write, okay, not here. If I write list1.append, and for example, Java, and print list 1, the result is like this. 2 has already been added, and then Java is added to the, again, very end, okay, after 2. So append is very useful. And what about pop? So append adds to the right-hand side. What about pop? And pop deletes from the right-hand side by default. So you can write list1 dot pop. If you do not send anything into this function, by default it will delete the last element of the list and print it on the screen. That's it. So it means I deleted Java. Now if you write print list1, you will no longer see that Java in the list. And now if you continue again by pop, you will see 2 this time, because now 2 is the last element of this list. It says I deleted 2, and then print list 1, the result is this, no longer 2, okay? But with the pop function, you have a flexibility to control which element you want to delete. If I write list 1, that pop, so by default it's none. You don't have to insert anything into it. Like if you do not insert anything, by default it goes and takes the last element and deletes it and then prints it on the screen. But what if you want to delete, for example, this car, not 4.5? Okay, then what you should do is very simple. Just insert the index of that element into this pop function. As you may see, car is in index 3 because it's the first element. Just insert 3 into it and you will see car, which means I deleted car. And if you write print list 1, you will no longer see car here. That's it, very simple. If you write, for example, list1.pop 1, you say go and delete the element in the first index, which is 1. This one, not this one. This one, which is the second element and the first index. And if you again write print list 1, the result is 1, 3, 4.5. This one no longer exists in the list. That's it. And lastly, I would like to talk about sort function. So, by the way, you may ask, what if I want to add a new value to a list, but not to the very end. Maybe I want to add something here between 3 and car. It's also possible. For doing this, you will need another function, but we will not talk about it today, okay? Because it's a bit advanced. I've planned to talk about it in the long run, in upcoming lectures. And now let's talk about one last thing. I made some changes to the list, that's why it's now different. Okay, do not get confused. Now let's talk about sort function. You just write list 1. Let's remember list 1, 1, 2, 3, right? As you can see here. What if I want to sort it? Okay, I will add some more values to it. Append, for example, 6 to 7. 67. Did I add it twice? Yes, I added it twice. As long as we run that, you will get that 67. Okay, let's change it. For example, 65, then 62, then 6 itself. Okay, now you have a very confusing list because it has lots of different values, like 1, 2, 3, 67, 6, 65, some random numbers. And now I would like to get them in an ascending order. Ascending order means from 1 to 67. Okay, in an ascending order, namely. For doing it, just simply write list 1 dot. You will see the sort at the very end. Sort, and that's it. If you get list 1, it will be 1, 2, 3, 6, 62, 65, 67. 67, 67 because it's the same. So from 1 to 67. It ordered it in ascending way. But what if I want to get it in the descending order? We have one parameter called reverse. Just get it true. And now we will have it in the descending orders from 67 up to 1. That's it. Okay, maybe I want to add some more values. 5, maybe 58, maybe 53, and again get the reverse version. That's it, from in an ascending order. So sort itself puts the list in the ascending order, and if I set true to this parameter, then it will be in the descending order because it will be reversed, okay, namely because it's true. That's it. So this is the end of the lecture. We talked about generally lists, type function, then list function itself. So why do we use it, or how can we use it? And then the comparison between strings and lists, like this, for example, slicing or concatenation, len function. They said that changing a string is not possible, but for lists it's possible. And then we talked about this multiplication process and notation, and again slicing and changing, but changing more than one values at a time, which is possible. And then we talk about append, pop, and lastly sort. That's it. I hope it will be very helpful. Thank you for watching.